All right. Hi, everybody. I wanted to do a quick recap of the discussion question 6, which was due on October 16th. When I was looking through the answers, there was some struggling with concepts here. So just as a quick overview, the question again was Tsar Nicholas wins tickets to a concert. Lenin and Trotsky want the tickets and decide to steal them from Nicholas. Okay, so at this point, we know mens rea, or the intent in the plan right here, okay? They intend to steal them. Lenin and Trotsky are hiding behind some bushes when Nicholas walks by. They jump him while Trotsky holds Nicholas down. Lenin, instead of taking the tickets, pulls out a knife and slits Nicholas' throats. Is Trotsky liable as an accomplice in Nicholas's death? Reference the book in your answer. Hint, examine the elements of the crime here. Now this is, gruesome. It's a horrible thing. And I think it's inherent that we do want to hold somebody responsible. The question is it just to hold Trotsky responsible based on the principles of criminal law? And so I don't have an e-version of the book. I only have paper, but this is the Model Penal Code 2.6, and this is kind of like an annotated version, so it gives you tips and tricks. And it right down here, if we come, the Model Penal Code requires a twofold mens rea similar to the common law. The accomplice must act with purpose as to the principal's conduct in committing the offense, and the accomplice must possess the same mens rea in the statute as to the result. Okay, so this is worded, it's the same meaning as the book, but it's worded a slightly different way. And if we think about it this way, did Trotsky act with purpose to the principal's conduct? Well, the principal is Lenin, and Lenin killed the victim. Trotsky did not act with purpose to that. Trotsky's purpose was to steal something. And then, furthermore, beyond just that, the accomplice must possess the same mens rea in the statute as to the result. Okay? And Trotsky did not have, nor did he ever form the intent to kill Nicholas. Lenin did. Lenin possessed the intent to kill and engage in the actus reus. Lenin is going to be responsible here, but it is not just to hold Trotsky responsible as an accomplice to the death, because he did not have the requisite mens rea, and he never informed the intent to kill. And under any state that follows any form of either common law for accomplice mens rea or accomplice liability, or the Model Penal Code for complicity or accomplice liability, Trotsky in our example just is not going to be held liable. Now, remember, criminal law does vary place to place, so some states may have very stringent concepts or standards here, and maybe at that point they would be liable. But under the example you are given and under the textbook, it would violate the principles of criminal law to hold Trotsky responsible as an accomplice here. Now, he's not an accomplice to the death, but he's probably going to be held liable for some version of an assault or something, or a battery, or depending on how each state words those types of distinctions, whether they just merged everything or not. So he's not that he's going to get off scot-free in this example either. He would likely be convicted of a different criminal offense, but he's not an accomplice to homicide because he never formed the mens rea to kill, and he never had the purpose to kill somebody. He just had the purpose to steal some concert tickets. So that's kind of the distinction that this example is getting at, and it is an important distinction to just make sure that we really look closely at the underlying crime and the type of intent and the action that the accomplice engaged in. So I really just wanted to work through that because there is an exam coming up next week. Now, throwing it over to the exam on Canvas, the terms and concepts are already up for you to look over. This exam is covering chapters 5, 6, 7, and 8. And so some of the main concepts here are affirmative defenses, justification defenses, a perfect defense, an excuse defense, and then the main justification defenses, self-defense, choice of evils, and consent. And also for self-defense, you're going to want to be able to explain the common law, but also discuss how the Castle Doctrine and Stand Your Ground have altered that. And the book does a really great job here, but it is still a lot. It's a lot and it's confusing. So if you have questions, I am available. Chapter 6 deals with insanity. Insanity is a lot. There are 4 different tests. And it is complicated because insanity is a legal standard, but it also overlaps with psychiatric standards of mental health and mental disorders. And so these two concepts are overlapping to a certain degree, but they are each distinct. So if you're struggling to differentiate, please, again, send an email, drop in office hours. The other excuse defenses are duress. You need to know the elements and whether or not it applies to every crime. The common law standards for criminal liability for a child or the excuse of age. Entrapment, subjective and objective, and syndrome defenses. Under Chapter 7, we need to be able to define what an accomplice is, understand the actus reus and mens rea, and what the type of liability an accomplice gets. Are they liable for the crime itself? Are they liable for a lesser crime? Understand an accessory and their liability, as well as the actus reus and mens rea. Going along with that, we're going to look at agency theory, forfeited identity theory, the Pinkerton rule. You should be able to define a conspiracy, discuss the mere presence rule, and vicarious liability. Then shifting to Chapter 8. Chapter 8 deals with incomplete crimes, inchoate offenses. The three big inchoate offenses are conspiracy, attempt, and solicitation. I think solicitation is the most concrete and easiest to understand. And solicitation is complete upon the request of soliciting someone else to engage in a crime on your behalf. So the harm doesn't actually have to occur here. So this is the most concrete. Conspiracy, you should be able to define the crime and the elements. And you're going to need to be able to distinguish between like a wheel conspiracy or a chain conspiracy. Now for attempt, you need to understand how it works. Attempt is probably the most complicated inchoate offense, and it's also a really common inchoate offense where we see attempt charges all the time on the news, and we understand kind of what's going on. But it is also a challenge. So some states have general attempt law that would just apply to any criminal offense. Other states take a different tack and they define attempt differently for every single criminal offense. So there's just a lot of pieces. For attempt actus reus, these are all the different types of tests for how we establish did you come close enough to finishing the crime. You're also going to want to understand voluntary abandonment because that is a unique criminal defense for attempt. And then there are also these other ones, legal impossibility, factual impossibility. One is a defense, the other is not. So I'd like you to make sure you kind of dig in and understand the distinction here. The last thing is you may have a question or two on RICO. We're not going to go super in depth on RICO. White collar crime and RICO are something that you could spend an entire semester working through and kind of still be at the tip of the iceberg because they're very complex. I really just want you to know that this exists. It's prosecuted largely at the federal level to deal with gang and large-scale criminal enterprise. Know what the acronym stands for. So those are the types of things I'll be looking for. Again, if anything is unclear, please send me an email or drop by office hours again. I want you guys all to succeed in the class, get through the semester. So let me know if you need any help. All right, I will sign off. Have a great rest of your week.